I turned to face my wife, Emily, and asked, "What did you just say?" I could barely process her words. "Ryan, I know this is going to upset you, but I have not been happy for a while, and I am thinking about a trial separation." My head was spinning as I tried to make sense of what she just said. While standing on the deck, grilling steaks, I asked, "So, Emily, when exactly were you planning to drop this bombshell? Or was I going to find a note on my pillow tonight?" My voice rose more than I intended. "Ryan, keep your voice down," she warned. "I do not want Noah, our 6-year-old, overhearing this." Her tone was calm, but I could see she was bracing for my reaction. "This is exactly why I wanted to wait until later tonight to talk to you." "So it is decided then? You are leaving? Are you going to tell Noah yourself? Or should I be the one to break his heart after you are gone?" I shot back sarcastically. "I will tell him tonight before bed, and remember, this is not permanent," she said, trying to reassure me. "I am just staying with Claire for a while to clear my head." "Claire? Of course, Claire," I snapped, my anger boiling over. "You know what? I will draft the paperwork tomorrow. You can sign it, and I will file it with the court by Wednesday." "Paperwork? What paperwork?" Emily asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Legal separation papers," I said firmly. "That way, if you decide not to come back, it will turn into a divorce automatically, and we will not have to go through the hassle twice." "I do not want a divorce, Ryan," she said, her voice steady. "I just need some time to figure things out." "Time? I have been asking you for months to talk to me, but you have been too busy with Claire and your new crowd of friends to even notice what is happening at home," I yelled, my frustration spilling out. "And now you want to move in with her so you can do whatever it is you have been planning for months? Not with my blessing. I am not going to stand here and let you make a fool of me." Emily looked like she had been hit by a truck. This was not how she had imagined the conversation would go. She had expected me to be upset, sure, but she hoped to explain that this could be a chance for us to grow individually. Instead, everything was unraveling. "Ryan, please," she begged. But I was already done listening. I stormed off, leaving her standing there by the grill. She pulled the steaks off, set them on the counter, and came upstairs to find me. I was in our bedroom, tossing her clothes into suitcases. "Take your stuff and go," I shouted. "I am done. I will have the divorce papers sent to your office. You can sign them and give them back to Brian, my lawyer. He has been handling my legal stuff for years. Do not worry about Noah. I will take him out tonight so he does not have to see you walk out." Emily, trying to keep her composure, called Claire as she packed her bags. "Claire, it is Emily," she said, her voice breaking. "Ryan did not handle it well at all. He is threatening divorce. I told you he would not take this lightly." "Do not worry," Claire said on the other end. "He will come around eventually." "I hope you are right," Emily replied. "He is ready to kick me out and end everything right now. I just need some time away, but I do not want to end our marriage." "I will come over and help you pack," Claire reassured her. "The sooner you get out, the sooner you can think clearly." With Claire's help, Emily packed up most of her belongings and left the house before Noah and I returned. Deep down, I had seen this coming for a while. Emily and I met 8 years ago when we were both working as auditors. I was 22 and fresh into my career, while she was a couple of years older. We met during a chaotic audit of a company on the verge of bankruptcy. Despite the stress, we hit it off, spending lunches and dinners together every day. By the end of the week, we both knew there was something special between us. Emily was about 5 feet 10 inches tall, had long brown hair, and weighed around 175 pounds. She had a warm, pretty face and a confident demeanor that I loved. As for me, I was 6 feet 4 inches tall, lean at 190 pounds, and full of ambition. We were an unlikely pair in some ways, but we just clicked. For months after we got married, Emily got pregnant. It was not an easy pregnancy. She was bedridden for 5 months, which took a toll on her physically and emotionally. By the time Noah was born, She had gained a lot of weight and was dealing with postpartum struggles. Looking back, maybe we never fully recovered from the changes that came with parenthood. Through all of this, I never once complained because my love for Emily went far beyond anything physical. We were a happy little family until one day, Emily overheard a conversation at work that changed everything. One of her coworkers said, "It is a shame she is as big as a house. I wonder if she has her clothes custom-made at some tent shop." They laughed at their own cruel joke, but Emily was devastated. She rushed to the bathroom to cry, and that is where Claire found her. "Emily, are you okay?" Claire asked, concerned. Through her tears, Emily replied, "If they only knew how hard I have worked to lose this weight, they would not say such awful things." Claire, ever the straight shooter, said, "Listen, Em, you are a beautiful woman, but if you really want to change how you feel, you need to commit to a healthy diet and exercise. You just have to make up your mind and take action." Emily took Claire's advice to heart. Thanks to my job at an accounting firm which had a partnership with a local gym, we were able to get a discounted membership and joined the following week. The gym offered childcare, so we could bring Noah with us after work and focus on our fitness goals. Emily was unstoppable, hitting the gym 6 days a week with a determination that amazed me. Meanwhile, I struggled to make it 3 nights a week, but I was supportive of her efforts. When Emily did not see the results she wanted right away, she visited her doctor, who prescribed diet pills. I was not entirely comfortable with it, but Emily's resolve was unshakable. 8 months later, she had lost 125 pounds and was brimming with confidence. She bought new clothes and started turning heads wherever she went. Even her male coworkers were quick to compliment her. That newfound attention came to a head at Emily's company Christmas party. She wore a sleek, revealing dress that hugged her figure in all the right places. She was the center of attention, especially among her male colleagues. I noticed she had a little too much to drink and ended up under the mistletoe more times than I cared to count. The kisses from her coworkers and the way their hands lingered on her made my blood boil. "Emily, we need to go," I said firmly, stepping in when it became too much. "No, Ryan, I am fine," she replied, brushing me off. "Emily, I am leaving now. You can come with me, or you can stay, but I am not sticking around for this circus." Frustrated, I left the party and waited for her outside. On the drive home, the tension boiled over into a heated argument. "How can you act like that, letting those guys paw at you? It is embarrassing," I snapped. "It was harmless fun, Ryan. You are blowing this out of proportion," she argued. "How would you feel if I were kissing and touching other women at a party?" I shot back. "That is not the same thing," she slurred, clearly too drunk to understand my point. That night, Emily got sick and barely managed to change out of her dress before passing out. The next morning, she apologized profusely. "Ryan, I am so sorry. It will not happen again," she promised. And for a while it did not, at least not in front of me. But things started to shift. Emily began going out with her friends to a bar called Tony's every Wednesday after work. At first, she would come home around 6:30, but over time, her nights out stretched to 7:30, then 9 o'clock. By then, Noah was asleep, and my patience was running thin. When we first got married, Emily and I had an amazing connection in bed. We explored each other's likes and dislikes, always trying new things. But now, every Wednesday night after her outings, she would come home full of energy and eager to try something new. It was exciting, sure, but it also left me wondering where she was getting these ideas. One particular Wednesday, after an especially passionate night, Emily rolled over, catching her breath. "Ryan, that was amazing. I really needed that," she said with a playful smile. "But I think I am going to be sore for a week," she added with a laugh. I leaned in, kissed her, and whispered, "I am just happy to be married to you." Up until this week, it had been the same routine. But when I got home after dinner with Noah, the house was eerily empty. My gut tightened. I thought to myself that Claire is nothing but trouble. Ever since Emily lost the weight, Claire has been pushing her into all kinds of nonsense. No wonder her husband left her. She is a bad influence, and now she is dragging Emily down too. I put Noah to bed, tucked him in, and read him his favorite story. When he asked where his mom was, I forced a smile and said, "Mommy is just visiting a friend for a couple of days. She will be back soon, buddy." But deep down, I was not so sure. Afterward, I called my mom downstairs and laid it all out. "Mom, I need your help. Can you watch Noah during the day until I figure out something more permanent?" She nodded, her voice soft but reassuring. "Ryan, do not worry. Emily will snap out of this. She cannot bear to be away from Noah for long. She will be back by the end of the week." I wanted to believe her, but the knot in my stomach told me otherwise. Monday morning, I called Brian, my lawyer. "Emily left me, Brian. I need to protect myself. I want to make sure everything is in place, including a formal separation agreement." Brian sounded surprised. "Ryan, are you sure about this? It has only been a few days. Are you certain you want to go this route?" "Yes," I said firmly. "I need the agreement to be airtight. If either of us does something that a married person should not do, the other gets 65% of the estate. I need to protect myself, Brian. I think she wants to cheat, and I am not about to lose everything I have worked for because of it." He sighed but agreed. "Okay, Ryan. I will draft the documents today and make sure she is served at work tomorrow." "Thanks, Brian. Also, I will need 2 additional agreements drafted later. I will send you the details this week," I added before hanging up. The next day, Tuesday, Emily showed up at her office as usual. It had been only 2 days, but it felt like a lifetime since she had left. She was already feeling guilty and unsure of her decision. After lunch, her assistant informed her that someone was waiting in her office. When she walked in, a man in a suit stood up and handed her a manila envelope. "You have been served," he said simply before walking out. Emily stared at the envelope for a moment before opening it. As she read through the contents, her hands trembled. The document detailed property divisions and spelled out terms that felt more like a divorce decree than a separation. It gave me temporary but full custody of Noah. Emily would have visitation rights with reasonable notice, but the underlying message was clear. I was not waiting around for her to decide whether our marriage was worth saving. Tears welled up in her eyes as she whispered to herself, 2 days. I have only been gone 2 days, and Ryan has already given up on us. She tried calling me, but every attempt went to voicemail. Frustrated, she left a string of messages, hoping I would listen. What she did not know was that I was at home, changing the locks on the doors, removing her from our insurance policies, and managing our shared finances to protect myself. By the time I finished everything, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I checked my phone and saw 12 missed calls from Emily. My heart ached for a moment, but then I hardened myself. No, she made her choice. I deleted the voicemails without listening to them. Later that evening, I went to my mom's house for dinner with Noah and filled her in on everything I had done. "Ryan, you know Emily is going to be furious," my mom said, her voice tinged with concern. "If I were in her shoes, I would be. How far are you planning to take this?" "All the way, Mom," I replied firmly. "I cannot save this marriage by myself, especially when Emily refuses to listen to reason. She started this mess, but if I have to be the one to end it, then so be it." I used to trust Emily, but now I could not believe a word she said. I told myself that my priority was Noah's well-being and my own peace of mind. If Emily and I could work things out, great. If not, I would make sure I held all the cards for my son's sake. "You are like a man on a mission," my mom said with a laugh as we finished dinner. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." Meanwhile, Emily arrived at the house and tried to use her key, only to find the locks had been changed. She muttered under her breath, "What the hell is this?" She called my number again, but it went straight to voicemail like before. At home, I double-checked my to-do list. Everything was in order. All I had to do now was wait. On Wednesday morning, Emily came by my office. She looked upset. When she tried to pay for something with her credit card on the way to work, it had been declined. And at the pharmacy, she was informed that her insurance was no longer active. Furious, she confronted me. Ryan, do you hate me this much? She asked, her voice trembling. I stayed calm. Not at all, Emily. I am just covering my bases. Remember, you walked out on me. I will still handle everything for Noah and the house, but you are on your own for personal expenses from now on. You are blowing this way out of proportion, she snapped. I just needed a little time to myself. I leaned forward across my desk, keeping my expression stern. Emily, do you see the word stupid tattooed on my forehead? I may not be a genius, but I am not naive. Claire has been feeding you all kinds of nonsense, and now you are acting like a single woman. You think there are no consequences for that? Think again. Emily's face turned red with anger. You cannot treat me like a child, Ryan. I am your wife, your equal. Screw you, she yelled. I let out a bitter laugh. Equal? That has not felt true in the past 6 months. But it looks like you are getting all the attention you want from someone else now, right? Emily froze for a moment, her defensiveness cracking under the weight of my words. I pressed on. You should know, Emily, I started having you followed about a month ago. I know about the flirting. I know about the late nights. And I know exactly where this is heading. I am not going to wait around for you to make a fool of me. Her jaw dropped, and she started to deny it, but I raised my hand to stop her. I do not need excuses or justifications, Emily. If you cross the line, it is over. I am done. The first 2 weeks after she left were rough. Emily made an effort to visit Noah, but our communication was limited to brief, tense text messages. I kept the private investigator on the case, and the reports showed her out with Claire and her friends more often. 4 nights a week instead of just the occasional Wednesday. Looks like someone is trying to make up for lost time, I thought bitterly. Despite everything, I managed to hire a nanny for Noah. Her name was Alice, a recent college graduate struggling to find full-time work. Alice was 24, about 5 feet 9 inches, with blonde hair and a kind demeanor. She had grown up with 2 younger brothers, so she was great with kids. We quickly agreed on her pay and hours, and she moved in the next day. Alice worked as a waitress 3 days a week at a local family restaurant and joined us for dinner on her off nights. Over time, Noah warmed up to her, especially enjoying the bedtime stories she read him. Alice, I cannot thank you enough for stepping in like this, I said one evening after dinner. You have been a lifesaver for Noah while his mom is figuring things out. Alice smiled warmly. Ryan, it is my pleasure. I just cannot believe Emily would leave you and Noah like that. I have not known you long, but you are one of the kindest, most dedicated dads I have ever met. It is clear how much you love him. I think Emily lost sight of what really matters and let other people convince her the grass was greener. Greener on the other side of the fence, I echoed. Well, one way or another, this will all be over in 40 days. I cannot wait. But I had no idea that less than a week later, my life would take a dramatic turn. You see, I am a silent partner at the accounting firm where I work. Over the past 2 years, I have brought in a significant amount of new business. As a result, the firm's owners offered me a 15% stake. I asked them to keep it quiet. I did not want the attention that came with being known as a partner. Little did I know, that secret would soon complicate things even further. Being a silent partner gave me a unique perspective on how the business worked and what the employees truly thought. It also allowed me to develop relationships with the firm's owners, which taught me the ropes and opened doors I never expected. My most recent accomplishment was securing a meeting with an international clothing manufacturer that operated plants in 5 Asian countries. I had met their executives at a networking event about a year ago. I pitched some ideas about streamlining their operations, which impressed them enough to schedule a follow-up meeting. During our discussions, one of the owners said, Ryan, I really like how your firm customizes its approach for each facility. What we need is a unified system across all plants that can be managed from our overseas office. Initially, they seemed disappointed that I would not be stationed overseas to oversee the implementation myself. But I reassured them, saying, I will personally ensure flawless execution on every aspect of this project. That seemed to win them over. After 9 months of hard work, I shook hands with them and signed the contract. It was a huge win for the company and for me. I had planned to share the good news with Emily by taking her out to a fancy dinner and then spending a romantic evening alone together. But when I got home, the house was empty, and my heart sank. 20 minutes later, Alice walked in carrying Chinese takeout. "Forget the takeout," I told her, unable to contain my excitement. "We are all going out tonight to celebrate. Put on your best outfit, Alice, because we are going to paint the town red." Alice's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure? What about Noah?" she asked. "Of course. Noah is coming too," I replied with a grin. My bosses had reserved a table at the town's best restaurant for 8 p.m. and even arranged a limousine to pick us up at 7:30. With time running short, I helped Alice get Noah ready so she could have more time to dress herself. By 7:15, Noah and I were both ready. I had shaved, showered, and put on my best suit. Then I saw Alice coming down the stairs. "I did not have anything fancy to wear," she said hesitantly. "So I found one of Emily's old dresses that sort of fits. Do you think it looks okay?" I glanced up and froze for a moment. "Alice, you look stunning," I said, genuinely amazed. The dress hugged her figure perfectly, and she looked more radiant than I had ever seen her. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. The limousine had arrived. As we stepped outside, Emily drove by and saw us climbing into the sleek black limo. Her face was a mixture of shock and confusion as she slowed down, watching us leave. "What on earth is going on?" she muttered to herself as she watched us drive off. When she saw us enter the town's fanciest restaurant, her confusion turned to anger. "He told me we could not afford places like this, and now he is taking them out for a fancy night?" The evening went better than I could have imagined. I was the center of attention as my colleagues and I celebrated the new deal. The food and drinks were plentiful, and the atmosphere was electric. Alice, however, kept me grounded. "Ryan, it is getting late," she whispered at one point. "Noah is going to be too tired to wake up for school tomorrow if we stay much longer." "You are right," I agreed, grateful for her practicality. "We should head home." After thanking everyone for a wonderful evening, we left. As I shook hands with my colleagues, I noticed their eyes lingering on Alice. Not just the men, but the women too. Alice looked incredible tonight, and it was not lost on anyone. The whispers and knowing looks told me that they all knew about Emily leaving, and they were probably assuming I had already found her replacement. The limo ride home was quiet, as Noah fell asleep as soon as we got in. I carried him upstairs, tucked him into bed, and kissed him on the forehead. "Good night, buddy," I whispered before heading back downstairs. In the kitchen, I found Alice enjoying a glass of wine. She looked up with a warm smile. "Thank you for tonight. You did not have to bring me along, but it really meant a lot," she said. "How could I have left you here alone tonight?" I replied, pouring myself a glass of wine. "Besides, I really enjoy your company." Alice laughed softly. "I hope I was not too out of place being surrounded by a bunch of accountants." "On the contrary," I said, smiling. "I thought you fit right in. And honestly, I am glad you came. It made the evening even better." "You know, Ryan," she said thoughtfully, "I never realized how interesting your job is. It is clear that everyone respects you a great deal." Her words stayed with me long after I went to bed that night. Little did I know, things were about to get even more complicated in the days ahead. With a soft smile, Alice said, "You have made me feel like part of your family, even though I am just the nanny." Her words stirred something in me, but I reminded myself of the boundaries I needed to keep. I was still married to Emily, and despite everything, I was determined to stay faithful. "Tonight was truly magical," I told Alice. "There are thoughts swirling in my head about what I would like to do, but unfortunately, those thoughts are staying right there in my head. Maybe if things were different, but they are not. So I will settle for a cold shower and an early night." Later that night, around 2 o'clock in the morning, I felt someone slip into bed next to me. It was Alice. Her warmth against me made it clear she was naked. Before I could speak, she gently pressed a finger to my lips and whispered, "I know we cannot do anything. I just want to be close to you." The next morning, I woke up early and headed downstairs to find Alice already dressed and making breakfast for the three of us. We did not exchange a word about what had happened the night before. Instead, everything felt strangely normal. Meanwhile, Emily was boiling with anger. She slammed her hand on her desk, frustrated with herself for letting things spiral so far. She knew she had made a mistake confiding in Claire about her problems. Claire's advice to celebrate her freedom had pushed Emily into situations she did not truly want. That night, Emily went with Claire to Tony's bar, where they caught the attention of a group of attractive men. While most of their friends left after a few drinks, Emily and Claire stayed behind. One man in particular caught Claire's eye, while Emily found herself drawn to another. He was incredibly handsome, with the kind of sculpted physique that seemed almost unreal. As they danced, Emily felt the chemistry building. When he touched her waist, she did not pull away. She let him kiss her and lead her to a quieter corner of the dance floor, where his hands roamed more freely. Emily, overwhelmed by conflicting emotions, did not stop him. Things escalated further when the group ended up at Claire's apartment later that night. Emily found herself lying naked on the bed with the man, but suddenly, reality hit her like a freight train. She sat up abruptly, her heart pounding. "I cannot do this. I am still married. Despite everything, I love my husband," she said firmly, ignoring his protests. The man eventually left, and Emily stood under the cold shower in Claire's bathroom, trying to clear her head. "I need to get my head and my life together," she muttered to herself. But little did she know the damage had already been done. Back at home, I sat in front of my computer, staring at photos sent to me by the private investigator I had hired. They showed Emily and her friends entering Claire's apartment with two men. My stomach churned as I scrolled through the images. Without hesitation, I forwarded the photos to Brian, my lawyer, along with instructions to start preparing the divorce papers, but to hold off on filing until Monday. "I guess she has made her choice," I said aloud, my voice heavy with disappointment. I had held out hope that we could reconcile, but it was clear now that Emily's actions had taken us past the point of no return. The next morning, I made a decision. I went to my bosses and informed them that I would be taking over the Asian project personally. "I need a change of scenery," I explained. "This project will give me the space I need to clear my head and start getting my life back on track." One of the partners asked, "Can you be ready to leave by the 12th for the project startup?" "I will be ready," I replied. "The sooner, the better." I requested a couple of days to finish up my work and find an apartment where I could send my belongings. I explained that I had a few meetings left but would be ready to leave by the afternoon if everything went as planned. I delegated my remaining tasks to my team, ensuring they were prepared to handle everything while I was away. I also drafted the paperwork granting my mom power of attorney and instructed Brian, my lawyer, to serve Emily with the papers on Monday. Walking into the house that night was bittersweet. The thought of it no longer being mine when I returned from overseas hit hard. Emily and I had picked it out together, filled it with memories, and built a life within its walls. But soon it would all be just that, memories. Dinner was unusually quiet, and Alice must have noticed my mood. "Is everything okay?" Alice asked cautiously. "It is not you, Alice," I replied. "I just have a lot on my mind. We can talk after Noah goes to bed." By 10 p.m. the house was still. Alice knocked softly on the door and walked in. "What is bothering you, Ryan?" she asked. "If it is about last night, I am truly sorry and promise it will not happen again," she said earnestly. "It is not about that," I assured her. "I have decided to oversee the overseas project myself, and Noah and I will be leaving early Monday morning," I explained. "But before we go, I have an important question for you." Tears welled up in Alice's eyes. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Would you like to come with us?" I asked. Her expression shifted from sadness to disbelief and then to joy. Are you serious? She exclaimed. Do you have a valid passport? I asked. Alice nodded, smiling. Yes. I renewed it last year before going on a cruise with friends. Great, I said. You will need to pack everything by Saturday because they are shipping all of our belongings early. Leave out just enough clothes for the weekend and for Monday's travel. You can tell your family and friends, but I do not want Emily to know until we are already in the air. It might not be entirely legal to take Noah with me without her knowledge, but I am prepared for the fallout. That evening, I sat down with my mom and shared my plan, including giving her power of attorney. Things might get messy with Emily on Monday afternoon, but I want you to put the house up for sale next week regardless, I said. Brian will send you a copy of the papers I am serving her with. If she has questions, she can talk to him. Are you sure this is what you want? My mom asked, her voice concerned. Have you thought about trying to work things out? She made her choice, Mom, I replied firmly. Now she can live with the consequences. Mom looked at me for a long moment before pressing further. Are you taking Alice with you? She asked. Yes, I admitted. She brings me joy and keeps me grounded. Beyond that, I hesitated. I may have developed genuine feelings for her, but that is all I am going to say for now. This will all be over by Sunday night, so you can say goodbye to Noah then. Meanwhile, Emily was desperately trying to reach me. She called my office only to be told I was working on a special project. When she tried my cell phone, it went straight to voicemail. Frustrated, she turned her attention back to work, but that was interrupted by a man walking into her office. He handed her an envelope with a solemn look. You have been served, he said simply. Emily tore into the envelope, finding a short note from me at the top. The note read, I guess I have made my decision. I hope you have a great life. Beneath it were photos and documents that made her blood run cold. The pictures showed her and the man from Claire's apartment, their actions documented in detail. Her heart sank as she realized he had me followed. The news got worse. Emily called my mom, demanding answers, only to hear that Noah and I had already left for a 4 to 5 month project abroad. Gone? Emily asked, her voice shaking. Ryan took Noah out of the country? Yes, my mom replied calmly. He is on a long-term project, and he took Noah with him. Emily's voice rose with anger. He cannot just take my son. I will fight him in court for this. He will pay for what he has done. My mom's voice remained steady but firm. Emily, you gave up those rights when you left to find yourself. Ryan has full custody of Noah now. To say you messed up would be an understatement. You had a wonderful marriage, but you wanted more. Now you are left with nothing. Emily, desperate to explain, pleaded. It is not what it looks like. Please let me talk to him. I need him to understand. He has to believe me, Emily pleaded, tears welling up in her eyes. Emily, my mom said firmly, I have seen the pictures. If my husband had done what you did while he was alive, I would have divorced him too. If I were you, I would write Ryan a letter explaining everything. I will make sure he gets it. In the meantime, you should find a lawyer. Emily sat down to write, laying out her case. She admitted that alcohol had played a role in her poor choices, but emphasized that she had stopped before things went too far. She also poured her heart out, telling me how much she still loved me. But my response to her letter was blunt. Emily, you have not been a wife to me since you lost all that weight last year, I wrote. It felt like you decided you were too good for me, soaking up the attention of other men. When you came home on Wednesday nights, you were only interested in having fun in bed, not making love to your husband. It seems I no longer excite you, so now you and Claire can do whatever you want with whomever you want. I warned you, but you did not listen. I continued, Noah, Alice, and I are building a new life based on love and trust. You are welcome to visit Noah whenever you want, but you will need a webcam. I will set it up for you so you can talk to him. But sign the papers, Emily. Mom is putting the house up for sale this week. There is no chance we will ever get back together. so do not hold on to false hope that I will change my mind. I hope you find what you are looking for and that you are happy." When Emily read those words, she realized I was right. She had been foolish to listen to the advice of her divorced friends, who were likely projecting their own regrets onto her. Initially, she thought about fighting for custody, but my letter changed her mind. Emily signed the divorce papers. Ironically, 6 months later, Emily was back to her original weight of 175 pounds, but without me. Meanwhile, my new life abroad was fulfilling, despite the challenges of adapting to a foreign language and culture. Noah was adjusting well, picking up new words and enjoying playing with the local kids. Alice had stepped into her new role with grace, caring for Noah and filling our weekends with activities and trips she planned meticulously. I still remember one particular night vividly. It was soon after we had settled into the new country. We were all stressed. Noah refused to go to bed. My work deadlines were piling up, and Alice looked overwhelmed. She walked into the den, kissed the back of my neck, and smiled softly. Taking my hand, she led me to her bedroom. There were candles lit on either side of the bed, their soft glow filling the room. We undressed and slipped under the covers, and for the first time in what felt like forever, the world melted away. That night, it felt like heaven and earth had collided, and everything made sense. 5 months later, my mom greeted us at the airport with a beaming smile, especially thrilled to see Noah. On the drive home, she kept glancing at Alice, who wore a serene expression. "How far along are you?" my mom asked out of nowhere, surprising Alice. 2 months. How did you know?" Alice replied, looking slightly shocked. "You both look too happy, like the cat that got the cream," my mom said with a knowing grin. 2 weeks later, on March 13th, Alice and I got married in a small, beautiful ceremony. 6 months after that, our daughter Mia was born. Life felt complete. When Alice mentioned wanting to lose the baby weight and join a gym, I surprised her 2 days later. I had arranged for a personal trainer and outfitted a corner of the house with all the equipment she would need. Watching her happiness reminded me of how far we had come. Looking back, I silently thanked everyone who had been there for me during the hardest times of my life. Without their support, I might not have found this happiness. A life filled with love, trust, and the family I always dreamed of.